All right, good evening, everybody. Today on the Raw Discussion, we have a special guest, Miss Liz. And today we're going to be talking about a very important, crucial social issue that goes on throughout the world, and that is domestic violence. And a lot of women should be paying attention to this podcast at this moment because we're going to go and we're going to dig a little deep into it. Now, one of the things I wanted to be able to discuss was how how does genetics affect somebody's behavior to make them act out a certain type of thing. So when we look at domestic violence, a lot of the times, because a lot of women want answers, I feel like they want answers. They want to figure out like, why is this happening to me? I was a good person to this guy, to this woman, to my family, whatever. Why is this happening? And I really went into the research of it, and I try to figure out is behavior genetic. If, for an example, if I'm also I wouldn't say a victim of domestic, I would say child abuse. I think domestic violence will probably be more of if it's a spouse or not. I don't know the correct term on it, or a boyfriend situation. But I used to always wonder, like, damn, did my stepfather get abused when he was a kid, and did that cycle come back onto me? You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So we want to be able to talk about that as well. So how you doing, Liz?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So we're gonna just dive right in. That's what we do on the raw discussion. Let the people know where you're from.
I'm from Illinois.
Illinois, it's for the Midwest. That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Okay, and as far as you can remember, let's dive into it. When did you first see signs of possible abuse? Because I know it doesn't really like happen like right away, does it? Or do you start seeing indicators?
Like with my spouse or with my mother?
With whichever one you want to start off first. Which one started first? We want to talk about the one that
Oh,
started first.
well, obviously how I grew up, how I was raised. And our family is very, very toxic. Me
Mm,
and my cousin, who we both have done a lot of work on ourselves and really stepped away from the family, we have talked about this on several occasions of how toxic the family was and growing up in it.
okay.
And it's amazing we've turned out, you know, as decent as we have. We're not changed, set the world on fire, but we could be a lot worse for how we grew up,
Okay.
and that makes a big difference too.
Okay. Okay. Can I ask you a
So
question real quick?
yeah,
When you were younger, did you know you were in a toxic family relationship type of thing with everybody?
no,
Okay. Okay.
no, there was no such thing as toxic environment or healing or any type of that language, even in our social society.
Okay.
There wasn't any. There's no talk. There's talk about it now, but there was no mental health. Nobody cared.
Right. Right.
If you got in trouble at school, the teacher would hit you. You go home, and your parents would hit you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we lived, and it was okay. And there was never. I just read a post about how they would tell you, "I'm sorry, I'm going to hit you, but I love you," and then they hit you, and then they apologize and say, "I love you" again after they hit you. We had none of that. It was you just got hit.
Mm. Mm.
If you said something wrong, you stepped on a line, you just, a backhand across the mouth. And
Right.
it didn't
Right.
matter who it
Right.
was.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It could be my great aunt, my uncle, you know, whatever. It didn't matter. Your
Mm.
whole family just would beat on you. And
Mm.
that's how you grew up. That's what you knew.
Right. 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 Right.
So, and it's interesting because I've noticed when I was having my children, I made the mental note of I don't want to continue the cycle of what me and my mom had
Okay.
and what her mom and her had.
Okay.
My grandma's still here. She's 93.
Okay.
So just think of the time she grew up in. It was totally different.
Right. Right.
Religion was a big thing, and you had to marry your own religious person, your own kind, your own everything.
Mm-hmm.
You had these were social norms that you just lived by,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
everybody just went by them. So just think of how much times have changed since she grew up till now. It's holy crap. And even what my mom was raised in, what I was raised in, it's all different now. Like I said, the language even is different. So I just been doing a lot of that. And we have a lot of interesting family. Their abuse is played out in their lives.
Okay, let me ask you this question. So you had your separate situation with your mom. So you're saying other members of the family were going through their own separate situations.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my mom has 3 siblings, and they all grew up in an abusive household. And my bio grandfather was physically abusive.
Okay.
So he was everything, mental, emotional, all that stuff.
Okay.
You get it all, you know. And I just recently found out there was some sexual abuse as well.
Okay.
So the younger 2 siblings, they weren't in that environment as long, but my mother and my aunts, they were in there the longest.
Okay.
You know, before my grandma was able to leave.
Okay.
And just the other day, my mom was so angry at my grandma because she didn't leave. And I was like, I mean, she's 73. My mother's 73 years old, and she's still pissed off about this.
Okay.
You know? And I'm not blaming my mother for being pissed off, but I'm like, Mom, you don't understand. You don't understand the mindfuck somebody puts you through.
Right.
If you've never been mindfucked, you don't have a clue.
Okay.
So my mom's never had that. I mean, besides her father growing up.
Okay.
You know, she's never been in a relationship like that as an adult. She was the abusive one.
Okay.
So
that is a turn right there, right?
Yeah, she was one of those abusive women, and it's all of her childhood being projected onto everybody else because she, you know, she's a hurt little kid, and it's coming out as anger. She has all this anger and bitterness, and it just has built up over the years, and she's missed out on a lot.
Was she the first? Was she the firstborn, second, third?
She was the firstborn, and she said she was her father's favorite punching bag.
Damn.
Okay. Her sister didn't really get hit, but I do believe she got the sexual abuse.
Okay.
My mom, she said she escaped that.
Okay.
So
it was like, because when we're looking at your grandma, you say your grandma's like 93, so she had to grow up. She probably had your mom maybe like growing up like 50s to 60s when your mom grew up in.
Yeah, she was born in 48, so they're 20 years apart.
Okay.
You know.
So your mom's was probably growing. So in that time we got to look at like because when we looking at social issues, like we want to look at the origin of stuff, right? What was the aura of the environment? So if you're looking at your grandma or whatever like that, that's kind of like you marry your husband. You can't really say shit to your husband, probably.
You can't.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Everybody knew she was getting beat. Everybody was getting beat, but that was just the norm.
Right.
You didn't call the cops because the cops would beat you too.
Yeah.
Because the laws, you could tell the cops to beat her. That's why we have that rule of thumb. You could go and get a stick, a stick as big as the husband's thumb, and the police can beat your wife. I mean, seriously. I mean, you have to remember the times too.
Right.
There was no neighbors calling.
Right.
They're like, "Oh, she's getting beat again." They're just watching.
Right.
And hope they don't get beat. And